Hey everybody, Chuck Barone here, Tuesday, August the 9th, 2022. Just saw me glance down. I always have to do that to make sure I have the date right. Welcome to the show today. We really appreciate your support. We appreciate you taking the time to watch these videos. A lot of interesting stuff today, guys, and even followed with a little bit of a rant at the end. Today in the markets, the stock market had a down day today. Just marginally, though. The NASDAQ had a little bit of a ding. I guess Micron came out with an earnings warning, and the chip business isn't going so great, which affects the whole tech industry. So NAS got dinged pretty good. I think the market's kind of holding its breath until we see what happens with the big report tomorrow, the CPI coming out. The bond market, 10-year, 2.79%. A colossal gap between the 2-year up here and the 10-year down here. It's totally inverted. It's upside down. I think this is the statistics are also mixed right now. Who knows what in the heck to believe. I really believe we're in a recession here. Everything points to it, including this inverted yield curve. But I just can't believe the support for the 10-year. It just baffling me completely. The dollar today was basically flat. 106.3 on the dollar index. It's still the king. There's really not much competition until we see the Japanese or some of these other countries that are in that basket of currencies on the dollar index start to raise their rates to get a little more parity with the US dollar. We're going to see the dollar remain strong. Metals market, actually some interesting things happened in the metals market today. Gold was up today at $17.94 per ounce. I think it's getting ready to test resistance at $1,800 per ounce. I think if it can break through that $1,800 an ounce and consolidate there, that's a very positive sign for gold. Silver up today, $20.60 per ounce. And it's actually a little bit ahead of the gold on that move. It's broken through the resistance at $20 an ounce. And it's now building and consolidating above $20, a very positive move for silver. The oil markets today, oil was down marginally, $90.50 West Texas Intermediate. Natural gas has a decent rally today, up over 3% at $7.83. Tomorrow's the big day, guys. Tomorrow comes the CPI numbers. They're estimating inflation to be running at 8.7%, which what I believe. When they report those numbers, if they're bad, double it. If they're good, have it, right? I think inflation's rampantly higher than that. I think the only reason it's come down from last month's 9.1% is because oil's been tanking. I think that's more easily manipulated than the entire CPI. Let's see where this number comes in tomorrow. Will they, and I got to figure, how are they going to try to spin 8.7% inflation rate into something positive? It should be a fun day to watch all these talking heads work their magic. In interesting news today, news you guys need to hear. Remember yesterday when I was talking about the unemployment rate, or the employment numbers, 528,000 jobs added. I was asking if there was a productivity collapse. Well, the news came out today. Apparently there was. U.S. productivity fell again. It's the biggest ever decline since 1948, down 4.6%. So apparently this method of less workers, more productivity is starting to slip a little bit on the corporate overlords. Productivity is coming down. They're being forced to hire more people, and that's putting a lot of pressure on these inflation numbers. As I've been explaining, this, employment is a big driver of inflation. The wages force companies to raise prices, and that's kind of how it goes. And actually, that's the next bit of news today. The unit labor cost, which I talked about yesterday, we'd be getting this report today, rising 10.8%. Wow, that's a big number, guys. Hourly compensation rose 6.7%, of course, the rest in benefits. This is a big number. This is a number the Fed is going to be forced to face as they decide what they're going to do with rates. Some people are now even speculating that There may even be an interest rate increase in August, even though they don't have an open market committee meeting this month. Other speculation is that they could go as high as a full 1 point increase in September, rather than the usual quarter, half, and even the extraordinarily high, 3/4 they've been doing over the past several bumps up. This is dangerous stuff now, and the Fed can't ignore this, guys, because what you're looking at here is the beginning of the wage price spiral that I've been talking about for the past month or two. How when wages go up, the companies compensate for that by raising their prices. Well, now the poor worker can't afford it anymore, demands more money, which the boss gives them, and then raises prices again. And it just starts this cycle: wages up, prices up, wages up, prices up. And once you get in that kind of cycle, not only is it disastrous for the economy, it's horrifyingly bad for inflation. Imagine this, you're making 6.7% more income, and you're still falling behind when inflation's rising at 9.1%. This is a gigantic driver of higher inflation numbers. This is a big part of what we saw in the late 70s into the 80s. Volcker, who's my hero Fed chair, I think the guy had stones. He raised rates so high that he brought unemployment all the way up to 10%, which interestingly is the number that Summers said we would need to get inflation tamed down. Labor costs are rising. There's another report out later this month, which we'll keep an eye on to see how this wage price spiral is starting. It looks like we're kind of already into the beginning of it now. Let's see if they can kind of get out of it quickly or if it starts to escalate. Now, today's rant. I want to go into this a little bit today. You'll remember, I'm not sure if it was I think it was Friday's video, where I was talking about the bill that the Democrats passed, their spending bill, but I was celebrating the one thing in the bill that I thought was worthwhile, which was getting rid of this carried interest tax loophole. Well, this interest loophole, in case you're not aware of what it is the tax loophole that's used by hedge fund managers, private equity guys, and a lot of these big Wall Street big shots to minimize their tax burden on their billions of dollars. So what happens is, instead of paying an ordinary income tax like you and I do every year, their income gets taxed as a capital gain, meaning they're paying 15% on that before they deduct everything off of it anyway. So that's like, so now they're clearing $2 billion. And they don't want to give up the additional 20% that you and I have to pay, because walking with $1.6 billion would be just a tragedy for these poor rich guys. They need every penny of that. Private planes don't pay for themselves. $50 million Manhattan penthouses don't pay for themselves. It's a farce, guys. Everybody kind of believes that how they believe. I really believe that these corporate overlords are the ones who run every single thing in this country. They're the ones who fund the government. They're the ones who pay all the campaign crap for them. They're the ones who keep workers down. They're the ones who write the laws these days. Obviously, with a loophole like this, could you imagine that a guy making $2 billion a year pays a lower tax rate than his secretary, who makes $50,000 a year? Does that sound reasonable to you? Does that sound like the American way? Really? I'm an old fart, and when I was younger, being a selfish person and hoarding everything for yourself was like the ultimate sin. It was really, really frowned upon. The community meant something back then. And now that's just all washed away, man. Now it's all about corporate speak. What's the bottom line? And these guys really got it made in the shade. I mean, what they're doing is a travesty. And hopefully someday, somehow, somewhere, our political jellyfish will grow at least this much of a spine and level the playing field for working people, man. Could you imagine if you just decided that your income was now qualified for this loophole? Wouldn't you rather pay 15% than 25 or 30 or 35? I know I would. I don't get to take this loophole. It's just the most absurd thing I've ever seen. And here's what really gets me angry. They had that in the bill till the very, very last minute. They needed to get that one last vote. Kirsten Sinema, senator from Arizona, and she balked at keeping that in the bill. So she single-handedly, single-handedly got this removed from the bill. So they didn't remove it, the whole bill was going to stall and die. Now here's the interesting thing. Since the 2018 election cycle, Senator Sinema, obviously a very good American, a very thoughtful American, looking out for her Arizona constituents, has received more than $2 million from the Wall Street guys and these hedge fund guys. Now, I don't know about you, man, but this looks like bribery. It is bribery. Now, I guess here in the United States, they call it lobbying or whatever it is, but guys, our system is dramatically broken. Our system, to call it in any way, shape, or form fair, reasonable, normal, it just isn't anymore. The people who have the money can buy what they want in the law. The people that don't get kicked around. You know, it's just the saddest day to me, because the American way is vanishing, guys. It just is. And I don't know really where we go from here with these corporate overlords. I mean, are they really looking to make the entire middle class a new serfdom? It's a sad day. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for today. I really appreciate you watching the videos and your support. If you like what you're hearing, please hit the like, comments, and questions. Share the video with your friends and subscribers. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, askchuckbarone@gmail.com. I love answering those questions. I think I've pretty much gotten to them all now. If you sent me a question and I did not get it, it could have ended up in my monstrous spam file. Please resend the question. I promise I will answer every single one of them. And I'm caught up now. So if you have not received an answer, it's because it ended up in my spam and I could not find it. Re-ask the question. Thanks, guys. We really appreciate your support. We'll see you again tomorrow with the big CPI numbers. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about then. See you tomorrow. Thanks.